Hello, I'm Dennis McDonald, and I'm with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, and I want to show you a little bit of this Italian phone that we have in. And this is all hand painted. It's from Italy, and it never ceases to amaze me, some of the stuff that I find. What was a simple hook switch problem turned into a major problem. The customer has some sticks glued on here from an ice cream, their ice cream sticks, and I'm not sure what all happened because I didn't get a hold of this phone when it first started having problems. But anyway, this is an Italian phone, and basically what has happened here, try to get some light on this. These wires here that were on the board, these wires, there's 6 of them, colored wires, went to this board here on these pins. And the wire's brittle, okay? It's not made, it's just cheap modular wire of some sort, and it is not made to be soldered on. You get 1 or 2 shots and that's it. And if you don't know how to solder, well, then you've ruined them, okay? So now what has to happen is I'm going to have to take this wiring harness that I made with some better wire, and I'm going to have to solder it on and then heat shrink the connections and then put my other connections here. But since there's no diagram and no schematic to this phone, I'm going to have to assume that these connections up here on this board are in line. So I'll follow this color code starting at one end and just take it from there and try to get it back together again. Now, the problem is they go here on this connection, which should have probably been a plug. Okay? Well, that probably doesn't have anything to do with transmit, okay? Because I've already checked this phone out and I know the guy doesn't have any transmit. Well, he only complained of having a hook switch problem. Well, the hook switch problem ran into this problem, which ran into the solder problem, which there's gunked up solder all over these, which could have took out the transmit and the tone generator chip right here. So when you don't know what you're doing, you're probably better off letting somebody that does know what they're doing, because now we have a bunch of different problems. The other problem is, it could be a possible problem, we know we got a transmit problem. Okay, this is the handset, this is the receiver capsule, and this is the transmit capsule. And I don't know if you know much about phones, but that's why we're here today watching this video. This is a receiver capsule. That is a more modern style receiver capsule you'll find in some of the newer phones. Well, they made a transmitter out of it. It can be done, but that's the way they did it, and that's how they did it in Italy. Here's a receiver capsule for receive at the receive end of the handset, and here's the transmit end where your cord goes in, and they made a microphone out of it. It's a receiver, but they made a mic out of it. So now it's a microphone. So that's kind of another iffy situation that we're dealing with, because now we have all these other problems here with the gunked up solder. I cleaned all the solder off these pins. I cleaned all the solder off those pins here. And now we're getting ready to solder all these wires up. and I don't know, maybe within the 10-minute segment that I've got here, I can probably solder them up for you real quick. But we're going to have to do some later video on this phone, because this phone is going to lead into some major problems here. The other problem is you're worried to touch a phone like this because it's porcelain and it's hand painted, and you don't want to damage the phone. So that's another issue that you have when you work on telephones. You got to be very careful of what you're doing with it. I'm going to try to set this down and maybe set it in a position to where we can see some of the soldering going on, and hopefully you'll see what's going on here. And okay, I'm going to clean my soldering tip a little bit. I'm going to have to do this quickly because we don't have very long segments here, because of YouTube won't let us have very much time. So we're going to pick out a couple of these and try to solder them for you real quick. And it's not working very well, so because of the angle that I have to have this at. And so I may not be able to do it in front of you here on the video, but we're going to try to get some of these knocked out here. And the reason why we're redoing these connections is you can't use this other style wire here. Is just not a high quality wire, and every time you try to move the phone when you're repairing it, it's going to end up breaking on you. So that's why we have to go to these measures, where we have to solder on a pigtail, so the wires are more pliable and you can work with them. And so that kind of is a pain in the neck. And let me get some of this stuff out of the way here. I'm not sure if I'm catching this for you. At this angle. It may just look like a big mess here what I'm doing, but believe me, when I get done, it'll all be soldered together, and we'll heat shrink them, and we'll get it all straightened out. And we're coming up on about 8 minutes. I got to watch the video because I don't want to go over, or you'll have to cut some out of the video, and I don't want to cut any out of the video. Now there's the last wire we're coming up on. If I can get this guy so anyway, that does that. That's done. I'm going to heat shrink these wires together. I'll heat shrink them. I know this video probably isn't very clear. It's not the highest quality, but it gives you some idea of what's going on here. So I'm going to take these wires and I'm going to heat shrink everything back together again. I got to go. Time's up. I'll do a little later video on it. Thank you.